Well, according to Zero Hedge, and I can tell this is true, it says the gloves come off. Germany says Greek exit of the euro manageable as Tsipras demands Greek debt write-off. It's been a long time since I talked about Greece. When Greece was first in big financial trouble, I was doing videos about it fairly frequently to let you know that this is the kind of thing that's going to be going around all over the place. And then, of course, it hit Spain, Portugal. I think Greece had it the worst, though. And then Germany stepped in. We'll give you bailout money, and you got to cut massive amounts of job force in the government. You've got to sell off publicly owned works, such as maybe water companies and trash collection company. You're going to sell all that off, of course, to their pals, which is known as privatization. And a lot of stuff Greece went ahead and did. And as I said, what happened? Greece is still in the same exact boat. They've gained absolutely nothing. The people there are still in dire straits. And now, something that they used to have that was owned by them, the people, several things, are now gone and owned by private corporations to help pay back that loan money that they couldn't pay back anyways. So, with just 3 weeks until the Greek snap elections on January 25th, in which, I don't know how you pronounce his name, Tsipras Syriza is virtually assured of victory, unless somehow GPAP's new and improved political party manages to steal enough votes to prevent this, although one wonders what his political campaign will be. Vote for us because this time we know how to avoid a sovereign bankruptcy. No. Germany takes yet another opportunity to remind the Greeks that it won't be blackmailed, yes it will, into another year of funding the insolvent Greek state, which in turn will pretend to engage in another year of reforms. Of course it won't. Recall it was on New Year's Eve when Merkel, Germany, her chief advisor, Michael Fuchs, explicitly used the blackmail word, saying, if Alexis Tsipras of the Greek left party Syriza thinks he can cut back the reform efforts and austerity measures, then the Troika will have to cut back the credits for Greece, he said. The times where we had to rescue Greece are over. There is no potential for political blackmail anymore. Greece is no longer of systemic importance for the euro. Today concerned that Tsipras' ancient power, ascent to power, will mean precisely that, namely more blackmail by Greece of Germany and the Eurozone, as a Greek exit opens the way for a collapse of the monetary union and a return to the Deutschmark, which will cost Germany far more than continuing the annual charade of keeping Greece in the euro. Spiegel is out with another piece saying, whatever that is in German, or loosely translated, the federal government considers Greece's exit from the euro manageable. No big deal. So, it was going to leave the euro all along, like I said would happen long ago. Not that long ago, when the crisis first started. They're going to leave, and you saw them fight tooth and nail, and they had these little snap elections then. The other party just won, and we're going to stay in the euro, and they're going to keep this fraud and corruption going. And now they're saying it's manageable if they end up leaving. In other words, we have a feeling someone's going to win this next election, and they're going to pull us right out. They're going to pull Greece right out of the euro. European lawmakers don't know how a country could leave the euro while remaining in the EU, and would have to task legal experts with clarifying the issue. So it says, worse yet, a Greek exit would now mean that all hopes of the European Central Bank QE, or quantitative easing, would be put on indefinite hiatus until the legal framework of not only funding sovereign deficits, but also monetizing bonds from an imploding Eurozone is justified. It also means that peripheral bonds, which have priced in well over 100% of the European QE, would go bidless overnight, leading to market crashes across the continent, then to bank runs, first across the periphery, then the core, and ultimately lead to a full-blown European depression. So, there's more to read on that, but the point has been made. And now it's time for me to drive to work. So, Greece is still in the spotlight. People thought, nothing ever happened with that, man. Come on. You got Venezuela with problems. You got Argentina with problems. Spain with problems. Massive unemployment. Hell, in our own country, you have these young kids, these young college kids, fresh out of college. Again, not just this year or last year. I'm talking, well, I guess we're in 2015 now, but regardless. Last year, the year before, the year before that, we have all these college kids graduating, and a huge number of them cannot seem to find jobs in the field in which they've got their degree. Now, I've mentioned the student loan debt crisis, once or twice or, 14 times. And it's well over $1 trillion now. The last day of the year in this country, December 31st, 2014, we quickly pushed through $100 billion of spending, basically onto the deficit. And now we're, I think, around $18.1 trillion. Every time I use that word trillion, you know what comes to mind? Dr. Evil. Ba, ba, ba. $18.1 trillion. And yet our dollar, on the dollar index anyways, is like 90. It went from 80 to 90. During the time where we doubled our nation's debt. It was even touching into the 70s at one point, by the way, dollar index. And now it's pushing 90. What that shows is, strong dollar. Meanwhile, Russia's rubles got hit hard. And, was it Belarus? Got hit hard. Argentina's in trouble. Venezuela's in trouble, right? As I mentioned, this isn't just some, rainy day for them. It just happens. This is a financial attack from the U.S., the Western powers, against those countries. You can look at this no differently than the Roman Empire, one of my favorite examples of all time, because they pretty much everything we do, they do. Or more like everything they've done, we're now doing. Just with little technological changes here and there. So, the Roman Empire went on their huge military expansion. We're taking over lands. They couldn't pay for a lot of things. Because again, they didn't print money back then. They had actual money, gold and silver. Sure. And, remember the old coin clipping, that term? Well, they coin clipped, just a little off the edge, like a little haircut, little off the edges of the coin, so we can remelt some of that down and make new coins, pile it up and make new coins. Then they started mixing different metals into the gold and silver coins and basically watering them down, therefore watering down the value, make them a little smaller, whatever, right? And they realized we have to expand in their own moronic minds, anyways, kind of like our politicians nowadays. We need to expand, so we're gonna go to war with all these countries, and you can bet your sweet butt that the Roman Empire told its citizens that there's these enemies out there, you know, called Al-Qaeda and ISIS and ISIL, Roman numeral IV, and they want to kill us because they are jealous of our freedoms. They don't have a coliseum like we do. They don't have the entertainment like we do, and they're jealous of you. Oh, and there's another group called the Taliban. Yeah, I'm sure they use those terms. So what do we do? Well, I guess we gotta preemptively defend ourselves, which is a nice way of saying we're gonna offensively attack someone first. Oh, kind of like we did in the Middle East. Oh, that's right. Interesting. And they expanded, and they took over areas and regions, and sacked places and towns, and literally countries, and, you know. And then something happened. Well, now that we've taken over these places, we have to support them, right? Because the people who are left here, we need their labor, we need them as part of our economy. So, at the same time, any money, gold, valuables they had are now ours, which was the whole idea to begin with, so that we can pay for all this, only to find out that the new expenses and the expense of the war on top of it were greater than the bounty of taking over these places. So what do we say we do? Let's go expand even greater and faster and further. That sounds like a plan. Let's go with it. Let's run with it. It's like old John Lennon said. He believed that absolute psychopaths are running our country, not only our country, but governments, most governments. Psychopaths, power-driven, mad psychopaths are the ones in charge. And then what was that thing he said? You know, that's what's, I can't think of his little famous saying, but he, you know, the sad thing was that, you know, and I'm locked up. I'm not locked up. I'm, you know, viable to get locked up just for saying these things. You know, that's what's insane about it, is that I could possibly be locked up for even saying this or something like that. You know, can't think of the actual phrase line. I used to use it as my tagline on Realist News. Matter of fact, I don't even know if I still use it or not. But you know, on my website, Realist News. So, I mean, back to Greece and all this stuff. Lindsey Williams said, you know, and I gotta say something that's interesting first about Lindsey Williams right now. You remember when the better of the two elite friends, whatever he had, Ken Fromm, that died in like December of 2012, I think. He was the one up to that time frame that gave Lindsey Williams the absolute best information ever. And it seems like ever since he died, either A, the information Lindsey Williams received is being purposely, slightly, whatever, off on purpose, right? Or B, they just have lost control, the club, and although they told him still what's going to happen, they're not able to make it happen right now because they're losing control. I do tend to believe that that's definitely the case, because as Ken Fromm told him, they were going to go into Egypt, and then they're going to go to Libya and take over and give the Muslim Brotherhood, and they're going to go to this country and that country, and they're going to go to Syria. And they got stopped dead in their tracks in Syria. So now here we are with this new terror group named ISIS, also aka ISIL. And for some reason, we're still stuck in our tracks. So you can see us trying to get there. We're trying to get these things accomplished. We, as in the club, the elite. I don't know why I say we, but I guess because I'm talking about the Western powers. Still haven't accomplished it. Still trying. It's going nowhere. Another drop of, I don't know if it was ammunition, food supplies, aid. Another one just the other day, parachuted out. Oh, ISIL/ISIS got that one too. It was meant for other insurgents that were using to fight ISIL, but somehow ISIL got them again, second time. Oh my God! Knock, 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 ding dong. Did you ever think maybe by chance they're supposed to be getting these weapons and these items from us because we created ISIL and ISIS and we're a damn liar? Our government is a filthy, rotten liar. And that's who we're intending on giving this stuff to? Oh, no. Come on, Jason. Man, they wouldn't do that. Our government wouldn't do that, man. Come on. Then you don't know history from a hole in the wall. Because that's exactly what happens throughout history. Governments do it all the time. This is nothing new. Just like the old false flag operations. Attack ourselves, blame it on an enemy, and then attack that enemy with viciousness for daring to attack us when they really didn't. But your whole country's going to think they did because you're going to push the news that says they did, and you're going to show imagery and smoking airplane on fire. Oh my God. All you have to do is go read the declassified documents right now known as Operation Northwoods. You can download it. It's all over the internet. This is back in the John F. Kennedy days. They had a plan. It's in writing. We're going to blame it on Cuba. We'll attack one of our own little small passenger plane, whatever, from somewhere around Miami. It'll crash down. Of course, people are going to die. We'll blame it on Cuba. We'll be able to go in and get Cuba. John F. Kennedy allegedly and obviously said no, he didn't like that. I didn't want to do it. And it wasn't that long after that where he was found dead. Shot, head blown off during his little motorcade. So that's proof that governments do in fact do these things. So bottom line, Lindsey Williams, all that stuff, what did he say? The Eurozone, this was from back in the Ken Fromm days. When the big collapse comes, you're going to see it take place in the Eurozone first. It'll happen to the euro. And he said back then, right, at least 2-3 years ago now, when you see it happening there, you have but a mere few weeks to get yourself in order here in America, because it'll be right here. In order. That's where it's going to happen first, and it's coming here. In other words, you better have your precious metals before that happens. And if you see it happening in Europe, oh my God, they're collapsing right now. Breaking news all over the place. Oh my God. You better go and get your precious metals as soon as possible. And I will say this. The price of Bitcoin, they've been pushing, just like gold and silver, they've been pushing on Bitcoin right now. Bitcoin is 272. If anyone wants to invest in Bitcoin, I think now would be a real good time. I really do. That's another one of those things that I have seen no slowdown in businesses, corporations, new news about Bitcoin. We now accept Bitcoin. We're accepting Bitcoin. Pay for this with Bitcoin. It's not slowing down. So there's a trend. That's what a trend is. Yet how could the price of Bitcoin be down so low? Because you know who owns tons of Bitcoin, just like they own tons of paper futures contracts on the commodities market in order to control those markets. How do you control Bitcoin price? Bitcoin price is set on the market. So, its own market. But anyone can play the market. So the U.S. government can simply create one of their own little Bitcoin wallet accounts and just buy massive amounts of Bitcoin. And then flood Bitcoin market with certain numbers of Bitcoins whenever they need to. Push down the price much they need to, and then once they hit the price point, they can then keep buying up the Bitcoin at that price. Other people's Bitcoins. As well as possibly some of their own Bitcoin that they just sold into the market. It's all you're doing. This is so simple. In any situation of any market at all, this is called cornering the market. You have an unbelievable amount of money. You can buy as much of the stuff of whatever said item is and hoard it. And then once you have a massive pile of them, you can then sell a bunch at once. You can hold back at once if you want the price to rise. Price rises too much, sell a bunch of them at once, buy them back up. In other words, when you are the market and everybody else are just kind of sort of participating in the market, and you're massively the market because you own it all, and most transactions are you selling and buying back and forth, you don't have a real market. There's not a real price discovery at that point. You don't have true demand and supply and all that stuff. But once again, you can see the controlling mechanism that we use to control these markets. We own the market. We are the market. The COMEX isn't in some other country. It's in our country. The Wall Street stocks, bonds, right? The stock market, it's in our country. It's not in other countries. So anyone, even including people in other countries who want to play in those markets, have to go through us. And that's exactly why the BRICS nations, including and mostly China, have decided we're going to create our own markets, our own gold and silver exchanges. We're pretty much going to leave you guys in the Western world behind. And you can be rest assured that's going to include other things too, like Bitcoin and any other market. So one could say, well, what's going to stop the United States government or the big banks from buying a whole bunch of positions, paper positions, in the new Chinese gold and silver markets? Well, the difference is those markets over there are mostly physical markets. Physically buying gold and silver, not paper pushing and buying paper contracts that represent allegedly some gold, in which we're got 100 piece of paper to every 1 ounce of, or 1 contract of gold and silver, same thing. Theirs is mostly a physical. So if a contract takes place between two people, it's not, oh, you sold the paper and I want to buy the paper. It's, I bought a paper contract that says I have X amount of gold and silver. I want that gold and silver right now. Okay, just like a normal market should work. That's more how their market works. So unless the United States wants to go there and clean out physical gold and silver, it's not going to be a good idea for them to get in the market. Why? Because they're going to end up cleaning out gold and silver, creating a shortage of supply, because the amount of gold and silver they're going to need to acquire to keep maintaining price control is too great. Therefore, there'll be shortages, which would, of course, cause the prices to rise. So this year is definitely shaping up to look like it's going to be something. Remember the blood moon things? Lindsey Williams also spoke about that. The 5th or the 4th or whatever it was, and final big blood moon event was going to be around September or October or whatever. I think September something, 2015. Well, we have the midway, if you will, blood moon. Is it today? What's today? 5th today. I think it's today. So we had some interesting things prior blood moon, the first blood moon, such as the missing Malaysian airline flights, and a couple other things happened. So here we are touching this blood moon, and just a couple days ago, flight went missing and people found some wreckage, all this stuff, right? What are the chances that we're having these events on blood moons, which are extremely rare as they are, much less 4 of them in the shortest amount of time, like ever? Super cycle of blood moons, perfectly timed with the collapse of everything, because the people who are in control are absolutely in love with occult practices. So the last and final blood moon is this year, sometime in September, which is precisely around the time I could have swore old Lindsey Williams said that's their target date to cause the big collapse. Remains to be seen, I can tell you that much. Take care.